What if you discovered by chance that someone was about to be murdered, and the only person who could stop it was you? Clara was just a cleaning lady in a luxury hotel, used to being invisible to the rich and powerful. But one day, while cleaning a suite, he heard something he shouldn't have, an assassination plot against a billionaire. She could have stayed silent, pretended that nothing happened, but he chose to speak. What she didn't know was that her life would never be the same. Because the next day, a luxury car appeared at the door of his house, and with it, a secret that would change everything. Clara scrubbed the floor hard, as if she were trying to remove her own problems in life along with the dirt. The Persian rug in the presidential suite, expensive enough to pay his rent for a year, had a coffee stain on it. Of course, because millionaires love to test my patience by spilling coffee where a regular sponge won't do the trick, he murmured. The smell of lavender and disinfectant permeated the air, mixed with the luxurious perfume that seemed to be part of this place. She had been working there for 2 years, cleaning up the tracks of people who probably didn't even notice her existence. But that day, everything changed. As he was scrubbing the carpet, he heard voices in the next room. It wasn't unusual to hear muffled conversations throughout the hotel hallways, but something in the tone of the voices made her stop. "He'll never suspect anything," said a woman. Clara frowned. The voice was familiar. "As long as the plan is executed perfectly," replied a man. His heart sped up. "Flat?" She approached the wall, holding her breath. "He leaves tomorrow. Everything will look like an accident," continued the woman. Clara felt a shiver run up her spine. The guest's wife, Helena, was up to something. "But what if he gets suspicious?" asked the man. "Victor never suspects. He thinks I'm the perfect wife." The ground seemed to disappear beneath his feet. They were talking about Victor, the billionaire who occupied that suite. Clara felt her hands sweat. I needed to get out of there. But as he turned around, the bottle of perfume he was holding slipped from his fingers and fell to the floor with a crash. Dead silence. Her heart almost jumped out of her mouth. "What was that?" Helena asked, her voice now tense. Clara acted on instinct. He picked up the cleaning cloth and began to mop the floor frantically while humming. "I'm cleaning, just cleaning. I didn't hear anything. I didn't see anything." Hurrying footsteps echoed on the other side of the door. Her brain was screaming, "Run, you idiot!" She pushed the cleaning cart out of the room and walked quickly, trying to look natural. When he got into the elevator, he pressed the button for the employee floor, and only then realized that he was shaking. In the cafeteria, Clara grabbed a cup of coffee and tried to process what she had just heard. The drink was horrible as always. A colleague noticed his condition. "Clara, you look white." "Oh, nothing much. I just discovered a murder plan a little while ago. Normal life." The colleague laughed, thinking it was a joke, but Clara knew she had a huge problem on her hands. Should she tell someone? Would the police believe her? Maybe it would be better to pretend I never heard anything. But if she remained silent and Victor died... He slept poorly that night. The next morning, still with a heavy mind, Clara went down to the hotel lobby. His eyes found Victor surrounded by assistants and businessmen. He seemed unattainable, as if he lived in a world where people like her simply didn't exist, but Clara wasn't the type to keep quiet. She took a deep breath, straightened her uniform, and marched over to him. "Mr. Victor." He frowned when he saw her. "Yes." Clara looked around, making sure no one else was listening. "I know this is going to sound crazy, but you can't travel." He arched his eyebrow. "How it is? I heard your wife. She wants to break up with you." Victor laughed, but soon realized that Clara wasn't joking. "Are you sure of what you're saying?" "Absolute." Victor was silent for a moment. Then he looked at one of his assistants. "Cancel my trip." Clara let out a sigh of relief. Maybe his life would go back to normal. She just didn't realize that this was just the beginning. The next morning, Clara left the house, stretching, ready for another day of work. Or at least he thought he was. Because right there, parked in front of his humble home, was a luxury car shining as if it was polished daily with diamond dust. She blinked, pinched her arm and decided she wasn't dreaming. A man in an impeccable black suit got out of the car and walked towards her with firm steps. "Miss Clara?" She frowned. "It depends." "If it's a charge, I'm not." The man kept his expression serious and handed her a white envelope. "Mr. Victor sends his greetings." Clara hesitantly took the envelope. "Right. If it's a subpoena, I'll let you know that I have 0 assets to confiscate." The driver didn't even blink. He just turned around and got back into the car. Before she could ask anything, the vehicle accelerated smoothly, disappearing around the corner as if nothing had happened. Clara stood there feeling ridiculous in her pajamas, slippers and messy hair, holding a mysterious envelope in her hand. She opened it slowly and found a key along with a small note. "Thank you for yesterday. You deserve a better place. Address below. Victor." Clara reread the message 3 times. This can't be real. The address was a luxurious building in the city center. He felt his head spin. Yesterday, she was cleaning carpets and avoiding getting involved in murder plots. And today, a billionaire was simply giving her an apartment. Was that normal in the world of the rich? When she arrived at work, the morning receptionist's eyes widened when she saw her. "Hey, Clara, I thought you were fired." "What? Why?" "There are rumors that you did something and the boss noticed you." "Oh, yes. I stopped him from dying. Little thing." The receptionist laughed, but Clara didn't. The day passed slowly, with her avoiding any contact with Helena. Every time I saw the woman crossing the hotel lobby, I felt a shiver run down my spine. Did she already know that Victor had cancelled the trip? After work, Clara took courage and went to the address on the note. The building was so chic that she felt ashamed of her worn shoes. A doorman in a suit opened the door for her as if he had already been waiting for her. "Miss Clara, here is your access card." She hesitantly took the card and entered the elevator, which rose silently to the indicated floor. When the door opened, Clara froze. The apartment was simply huge. Wall-to-wall glass windows offered a spectacular view of the city. The floors shined, the furniture was modern and expensive, and even the air seemed cleaner in there. "You're kidding," he murmured. She walked around the place, touching the furniture just to make sure it was real. In the kitchen, he opened the refrigerator and found expensive wines and cheeses that looked like museum items. He took a small piece and put it in his mouth. Wow, so this is how the rich live? Before he could continue exploring, his cell phone vibrated in his pocket. "Unknown number," she answered. "Hello? How are you enjoying the present?" It was Victor. Clara cleared her throat. "Well, I still haven't found where the pans are, but I already know that rich people eat cheese better than me." He laughed. "You deserve. After what you did for me, it was the least I could do." She felt her cheeks heat up. "So, do you give apartments to everyone who saves your life, or am I special? Let's just say your honesty impressed me." "Well, if you need more warnings about attacks, just call." "I hope it doesn't come to that." The call ended, and Clara threw herself onto the soft sofa, feeling the impact of the high-quality foam. She had saved a billionaire and was now living in a luxury apartment, but deep down, something told him that this was far from over. Clara woke up with a start, disoriented. The ceiling above her was not hers. Not even the mattress was hard, like the old bed in his studio apartment. It took her a few seconds to remember that she was now in a luxury apartment, courtesy of a billionaire she had stopped from dying. Okay, so this wasn't a dream. She stretched and walked to the kitchen. It was still surreal to open the fridge and find expensive ingredients organized as if they were in an advertisement. All right, time to act like a new woman. Rich? No, but at least a woman who can drink coffee without fear of running out of money for rent. She was about to make some coffee when she heard a knock on the door. His heart sped up. Hesitantly, he walked to the entrance and looked through the peephole. Victor. Oh, of course, because billionaires make morning visits. She opened the door and forced a smile. Mr. Victor, to what do I owe the honor? Do you want me to clean something here too? He laughed, but his serious expression soon returned. We need to talk. Can I come in? She pushed through, still in her pajamas, and watched him walk around the apartment as if checking to see if anything was out of place. Look, if you came to ask for the apartment back, I already ate a piece of cheese, so I don't accept returns. It's not that. Victor sighed and turned to face her. Helena suspects that someone reported her. Clara's lightness disappeared. Oh, excellent. Any chance she thinks it was, I don't know, a gossip pigeon? I doubt. Victor crossed his arms. You could be in danger, Clara. She was silent for a moment, absorbing the words. So basically, I left a tiring job to become the target of a rich assassin. That wasn't in the contract. I'm not kidding. Clara took a deep breath. And what do we do? I'm investigating. I already suspected that Helena had secrets, but now I'm gathering evidence. Clara raised an eyebrow. You mean your wife tried to kill you and you didn't get a divorce right away? Things are not that simple. Yes, they are. If someone tries to kill me, I'll at least block them on WhatsApp. Victor ran his hand over his face, visibly tired. The point is, I need your help. You heard the conversation. Oh, how wonderful. So in addition to being a cleaner and an informant, I'm now a detective too. He looked at her seriously. If we find concrete evidence, not only will Helena be arrested, but any threat against you will disappear. Clara snorted and threw herself on the sofa. And how exactly am I going to get this evidence? Asking her to send me an email confessing? I have another idea. Victor took a tablet from his briefcase and opened a folder of documents. My investigator discovered something about Helena's past, but what caught my attention was this. He turned the screen to Clara. She leaned over and saw an old document with a familiar name on it. Your father's name. Her stomach dropped. What? This may come as a shock, but I knew your father. She blinked, feeling pressure in her chest. My father died in an accident years ago. Victor nodded. Yes, but there are indications that it was not an accident. Clara felt a lump in her throat. What do you mean by that? Your father worked for a very powerful businessman, who was also Helena's father. She felt the floor disappear. This is a joke, right? I wish it were. Clara ran a hand over her face, trying to process it. Are you saying my family is involved in this mess? I'm saying your father may have been killed because he knew too much. Silence weighed on the room. Clara got up and started pacing back and forth. This is ridiculous. Why didn't anyone ever tell me? Because Helena and her family made sure no one found out. She took a deep breath. So, basically, in addition to being chased by a murderess, I'm now part of a years-long conspiracy. Victor let out a small smile. In short, yes. Clara shook her head. Excellent. My life was very simple before this. And what do you want to do now? She closed her eyes for a moment, and then opened them, determined. I want to find out the truth. Victor nodded. Then let's get started. Clara felt the weight of the decision she had just made. She wasn't an investigator. She wasn't a spy. She was just a cleaning lady who had the misfortune of overhearing a conversation she shouldn't have. But now she was up to her neck in it. Victor showed some more documents on the tablet. There are records of suspicious transactions in your father's name, but according to my investigator, he was used as a scapegoat. Clara crossed her arms. And who did this to him? Victor pursed his lips. Helena's father. She blinked in disbelief. So, besides trying to kill me, her family already ruined my life before I was even born. That's a level of dedication to crime I didn't expect. And that's why we need to expose her. Victor slid his finger across the screen and showed an address. Her family's abandoned mansion. It has been closed for years, but there are rumors that Helena still keeps important documents there. Clara snorted. Oh, of course, because what's missing in my life is breaking into criminals' mansions. Victor looked at her seriously. If we get this evidence, we'll put an end to this once and for all. She sighed. It's okay. But if I die, I want them to write on my tombstone, I told you this was a bad idea. The night was cold when they arrived at the mansion. The place looked like something out of a horror movie. Dark windows, ivy climbing the stone walls, an old, creaking gate. Okay, I already hated this place, Clara muttered. They passed through the gate and went around the side of the house. Victor indicated a back entrance. Ryan told me the safe is in the office on the second floor. Clara raised an eyebrow. Ryan? The complicit lover? Yes, but he wants to save his own skin, so he decided to help us. They entered the mansion. The air was cold and smelled of dust. Clara stepped lightly, trying to avoid any noise, but the floor creaked irritatingly. Infiltration 1010, he whispered. They climbed the stairs in silence, guided by the dim light of Victor's flashlight. When they reached the office, he went straight to the wall, looking for the entrance to the safe. Ryan said it's here. Clara crossed her arms. Ryan says a lot of things. The last one was, don't worry, there are no cameras, but look there. She pointed to a corner where a small camera blinked. Victor frowned. Damn, we need to be quick. He finally found a hidden panel and started typing a password. How do you know the password? I'm rich, we know these things. Clara rolled her eyes. When the safe finally opened, they started pulling out documents and photos. Here, said Clara, holding up a contract signed by her father, clearly forged. This is proof that he was framed. Victor took another document. And this connects Helena directly to her family's fraud. Clara smiled. Excellent. Now let's go before... The door opened wide. Helena was there. And smile. Well, well, well. Look who decided to get involved where they shouldn't. Behind her, 2 security guards entered armed. Clara raised her hands. First of all, I was against this idea from the beginning. Just for the record. Helena sighed dramatically. And I really wanted to avoid all this drama, but you forced me to take more drastic measures. Victor narrowed his eyes. You lost, Helena. We have the proof. She laughed. And you think you'll get out of here alive to use them? The security guards pointed their weapons. Clara swallowed. That was when a sound echoed throughout the mansion. Police! Drop your weapons! The security guards turned around instantly, but too late. Police agents invaded the room and captured Helena and her men. Clara blinked, astonished. What? Victor smiled. I said Ryan wanted to save his ass. He sold it to us and notified the police. Helena screamed angrily as the agents placed handcuffs on her. This isn't over. Clara crossed her arms. Oh, shut up. 2 weeks later, Clara was sitting on the couch in her apartment, still surreal for her, watching the news. Socialite Helena was arrested after a corruption and attempted murder scandal. The police found documents proving her family's crimes. Clara smiled. His father finally had justice. She took out her cell phone and sent a message to Victor. Clara. So, I stopped a murder, took down a criminal and got an apartment. What do I do now? The answer came in seconds. Victor, I think you should consider becoming a detective. She laughed. Maybe I should. End.